Hello and welcome back to the Casual Gamer. Today we're gonna take a look at the ROG Ally and see if it was able to live up to its hype. I've been using the Ally for 2 months now, enough time to give you an honest opinion about its ups and downs. Let's start by taking a quick look at the device. The ROG Ally is running on AMD's Z1 Extreme, a gimped version of the 7840U which is missing the AI engine to differentiate itself from its laptop counterpart. The Ally has 16GB of shared RAM and a 512GB built-in SSD. It of course features an SD card slot, which you can use on your own risk, but more about this later. The other highlight on the ROG Ally is the 120Hz display that supports variable refresh rates. And last but not least, we have a pair of amazing sounding speakers. So here we are. The Asus ROG Ally. When it was first announced, there was a lot of hype surrounding it. Asus released a couple of numbers and it made everyone salivate like a drooling dog. Everyone except for the most skeptical. But in all honesty, there's no denying the Ally is a step up from the Steam Deck, at least if we're talking about performance. But it also needs to be mentioned that the Steam Deck still performs better at 15 TDP and below. The Ally delivers the extra power you might need to make a modern game playable, or at least run smoother. Unfortunately, this comes at the price of battery life. Asus have yet to release drivers that bring the Z1 Extreme's performance on par with the 7840U, or at least optimize performance at low TDP enough to have it outperform the Steam Deck. Well, maybe the Z1 chipset is just meant to perform better at higher TDPs. Personally, I'm a bit disappointed that Asus did not offer a variant with 32GB of RAM. Running Windows on a machine with 16GB shared memory has not been a great experience. Windows is eating up 40% up front, and it gets worse the more unnecessary software you have running in the background. Jedi Survivor was actually running smoother on my Neo 2 than on the new ROG Ally. My Asus, Armoury Crate, Steam, and the 100 of services that are running are just eating up too many resources. Insufficient VRAM or running low on system memory warnings are issues I have only ran into on the Ally. Here I think the Ally could have been a much better experience with 32GB of RAM. Honestly speaking, I would say most of my experience has been tainted by Windows and the lack of maturity of Asus' software, specifically Armoury Crate. Just to name a few, I had circumstances where changes made through the Armoury Crate quick menu wouldn't take effect, controller not waking up from sleep, system registering all button presses as B button presses after closing Steam games. All remedied through reboots, but annoying nonetheless. And why do I need my Asus and Armoury Crate to keep my Ally up to date? Couldn't Asus just have consolidated everything into one app? I can hear you saying SteamOS was a mess as well during the first month, and yes, it was not perfect. But with the pace these new devices are being released, who's going to care 6 months from now if these issues are fixed? These devices have turned into the flavor of the month kind of thing. Only 3 months ago, we were talking about the Ally being the Steam Deck killer. Now everyone is hyping about the Lenovo Legion Go. But there is still one thing we haven't addressed yet, and that is the issue with the SD card slot. In a stroke of genius, Asus thought it was a good idea to place the SD card reader right beneath the heat pipe, causing issues with SD cards and the reader itself. The solution? Cranking up fan speed while nullifying one of the Ally's selling points, which was it supposedly being quieter than handhelds from the competition. But don't worry, if your Ally's SD card reader got fried, it will be replaced with a device that has exactly the same design flaw. Best thing to do here is just to straight out swap the SSD to a larger one and never use the SD card reader. Better safe than sorry. Nonetheless, I think the ROG Ally is a worthy upgrade from the Steam Deck if performance is important to you. While the deck might be struggling with newer titles, the Ally will definitely offer better performance, as long as you run it at a higher TDP. Now the question, did it live up to the hype? For me personally, it did not. I feel Asus was overpromising, and while its performance is better than the deck's, for me it fell short of what I was expecting. And that's all I have to say. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.